2021 is yet another astonishing year for new indie game releases. Welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where in this video, we take a look, count down and rank our top 10 indie games to have launched so far in the year. Did your favourite make the cut? Well, let's jump in and find out. At number 10, and somewhat of a bit of a curveball to get things going, currently having fewer than 10 reviews on its Steam page, Wildfire Swap came out towards the end of March for PC, and to be quite honest, it's one of the most refreshing and enjoyable puzzle games we've played in the past few years. It's a simple concept: you move tiles about a grid to prevent the wildfires from spreading to the buildings. While it starts off rather gently, the difficulty quickly ramps up, with it offering a stern, hard head-scratcher of a challenge to work out how best to solve its puzzles. Wildfire Swap feels like a low-key and yet charming way to start this rundown, and here's hoping more people get to play it. Up next, and at number 9, having come out towards the middle of April, Rain on Your Parade is one of those kind of games with a concept we can't quite believe hasn't happened, until now. You play as a cute and yet delinquent cloud, whose sole role seems geared around causing havoc while upsetting and winding up as many people as possible, be they newlyweds, school children, a farmer or two, and many more. You make all this mischief, well, naturally enough, by using your special cloud-like powers to rain on, freeze, blow about, or, via the odd lightning bolt, cause people pain. Rain on Your Parade isn't a terribly demanding game to play. What puzzles there are generally unfold themselves without too much trouble, and its 50 levels are finely paced, with the game taking between 4 or 5 hours from beginning to end. As for the humour, well, it hits home more than it misses, with Rain on Your Parade being available for PC via Steam, the Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox. At number 8, and having come out towards the end of January, we have Cyber Shadow, which again, let's be honest, is a very much a modern-day tribute to the NES firm favourite that is Ninja Gaiden. While Cyber Shadow arguably doesn't do anything overly new or dramatic, it does, however, fully deliver what it sets out to do. We're hugely impressed with how the developers have added accessibility options that can take the edge off a game that in places is as brutal as anything that you might have played back on the NES, Genesis, or down at the arcades. These come from the wonderfully placed checkpoint systems, and also from being able to spend in-game currency to unlock special abilities that can help you overcome certain difficulties. Cyber Shadow is available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Game Pass, with it also available on PC and the PlayStation 4. At number 7, Adios is a 60 to 75 minute piece of interactive fiction about a pig farmer who has decided enough is enough, and it's time to stop helping the mob dispose of their victims. Told within a series of scenes around different parts of his farm, the farmer and the hitman who's been delivering the dead bodies for disposal potter about the place undertaking chores, while the hitman tries to convince the farmer to keep going, business as usual, and in so doing, the hitman can avoid having to kill him. So yes, this is interactive theatre, a mini-film as it were. It's got a linear story and you know what's going to happen come the end. Where it shines, though, is the story overall and in the voice acting, which are both astonishing, as is the dialogue with the conversations and power dynamics between the two characters going back and forth. Again, come the end, and this isn't a spoiler as it's perfectly signposted, things end out as expected, and while not something we're likely to play through again in too much of a hurry, it still lingers with us 3 or so months later. Adios came out mid-March on PC via Steam.
Adios, friendo.
At number 6, and something a little bit more upbeat, Dorfromantik popped out in early access towards the middle of March. It comes from the city building and planning genre, although with its positional tiles it looks every bit like something you might find within the world of tabletop gaming. While it looks supremely calming, and in some ways it is, there is a delicate puzzler and strategy game going on here. You place the tiles on the board in certain patterns, which in turn helps build up the world, and in so doing, the game offers additional tiles with which you're able to play. It's all procedurally generated and has you building groups of houses, forests, canals and such, and more. We alluded to this earlier, and yet delicate feels the perfect word to describe this. While you do need to engage the brain to play it, it's calming to do so, and something we've played alone or together in a made-up couch co-op with plenty of backseat gaming. It's a delight and should be out of early access towards the end of the year with additional tiles, a creative mode, more environments, and additional complexity. Up next, and at number 5, The Longest Road on Earth in some ways is similar to Adios from earlier. It's another story-driven game with a pared-back monochrome style, where the focus is on you, the player, to construct the narrative around your own thoughts and perceptions of what's occurring on screen, and by way of the music that accompanies the visuals. Comprising of 4 vignettes, all you need do is move the left and right key and occasionally press or hold the space button. There's no text or dialogue, and we're thinking to get the most out of this, you need to go into it with an open mind and a mindset that's able to tune into the subtleties as the audio and visuals dance together to suggest what's going on. In doing so, you may well find this game, or perhaps let's call it a game with interactive drama elements, as being full of warmth, gentleness, and empathy. Sure, it's super niche, and yet for what it's looking to do with its slice of life within instantly recognizable scenes, it does so very well.
Another soul fouls my temple with every step. Tell me, pretender, can a man kill a god?
Now, number 4, and something with a little less subtlety and plenty of bombast. Curse of the Dead Gods came out of early access earlier in the year. While towards the end of last year we suspected this might topple Dead Cells and perhaps Hades from our best of the best lists, well, that wasn't quite the case, although it still remains an astonishing achievement. All great games like these have that little bit of a kernel that calls and most definitely demands you have another go. Just one more playthrough before going to bed or getting started into the daily routine. It's also pretty large, with it taking us around 40 or so hours to play through to see away the final boss. Its use of the curses and a corruption meter gives it something that's just a little bit different, alongside the combat that's reasonably simple, although multi-layered and in places jaw to the floor droppingly fast. The game's recent tie-in with Dead Cells was also a neat little surprise, which added additional iconic Dead Cells weaponry and vault rooms inspired by the cursed chest of the Dead Cells. Curse of the Dead Gods is yours to pick up via PC on Steam and Epic, with it also available on the Switch, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. At number 3, Genesis Noir is a story about the beginning of the world, as told within a detective story that's inspired by the work of Saul Bass. It's a point, click and swipe game where you play as the detective looking to piece together a murder mystery. There's nothing quite like this, and as I've seen it called elsewhere, Genesis Noir is fully aware of it being every bit the powerful piece of art house film, where the jazzy soundtrack of the wind, brass and percussion winds its way between the visuals and onwards into you, the player. Now, as should be apparent, we adored this, and it would be super easy to spoil with a too in-depth overview, although needless to say, this is a rare piece of game cum art cum interactive cinema, with it available on PC and Xbox One. At the runners-up position for indie games out so far in 2021, Loop Hero is another example of a game we didn't think we would like, and yet also like Curse of the Dead Gods from earlier, it's also one of those games that just eats time. It seems to be one of those games where there's no way we can play it for just half an hour. Loop Hero consumes whole evenings and weekends, and it's just so easy to pick up and play and find it's the small hours of the morning. It's supremely addictive and extremely creative within the gameplay that sees you controlling the environment in which your hero finds themselves. Whether or not you succeed comes down to how well you're able to set about the various builds, and how well you're able to farm materials, and how well you're able to understand the what and the when for the equipment usage. In places, and at times, it can feel a tad grindy, and yet it keeps us coming back, grabbing us by the lapels for just another go. Right now, Loop Hero is available for PC via Steam and the Epic Games Store. At the number 1 slot, and so far this year the game we've enjoyed playing the most is, well, it's Qomp. which as you can see here is very much designed and based on Pong. Yes, Pong, with its really being something we didn't know we wanted to have in our lives before we played it. Now this delivers from the get-go. It is so very simple and can be controlled with a single button as you go about navigating the Pong-like ball across what are essentially a maze of rooms with traps, enemies and even bosses for you to beat. Like a few others in the rundown, it's not an overly long game. It can be beaten in 3 to 4 hours, although it does have plenty of replayability, particularly for speedrunners looking to chase down those completion times. It's also in places a pretty tough play, with the designers having recognised this and having added plenty of accessibility options. These range from you being able to go all invisible to even being able to see where the ball is headed come the next bounce. Qomp is a super rewarding game, and while it looks a touch on the simple and casual side of things, it really is a wonderful game. And at around a $5 of your local currency or the equivalent, it's cheap as chips. This really will take some beating in terms of the enjoyment it offers, and come the end of the year Game of the Year rundown, we still expect it to challenge for the top spot. That's all we have time for this almost mid-year rundown of the games out so far in 2021 we've most liked. If you've liked the video, please click the like button, it really helps, as does subscribing to the channel if you've yet to do so. Drop us a comment with your favourite game of the year so far, and we look forward to seeing you all again here in the next video.